Hello, and welcome to Reducing Cognitive Load. Here today we are going to introduce you to 3 techniques that are sure to improve your lessons. My name is Jason, and I'll be here as your guide as we go through the rest of this lesson, and I hope you enjoy. So let's go ahead and get started. So in the coming slides, I will show you 3 principles discussed in the Cambridge Handbook of Multimedia Learning to reduce extraneous cognitive load, and in turn, increase or deepen the learner's understanding. Because when the extraneous cognitive load goes down, the learner's understanding goes up. The signaling principle is one of the many ways discussed in the handbook to reduce extraneous cognitive load. Specifically, the signaling principle says that you can reduce extraneous cognitive load by providing signals or cues to the learner as a way to highlight the essential information being presented. This, in turn, will improve the learner's understanding of the essential information. As you can see in this passage, there is a lot of information and it's not really clear what is important. So it can be difficult for the learner to easily pull out the essential details. However, if we add a little bit of what we have learned from the signaling principle, the passage will be easier for the learner to understand. Let's take a look at what this could look like. As you can see here, the essential information is much easier to pull out of the passage. The most important details are now easily identified by the bold and underlined formatting applied to the text. Now you could read just those portions and tell me a highlight of Wright State's history. The next principle I would like to discuss is all about the placement of the words being used to describe an image or a video. The spatial contiguity principle is another way discussed in the handbook to reduce extraneous cognitive load. This principle states that people learn better when the corresponding words and pictures are presented near rather than far from each other on the page or on screen. As you can see here in this example, the learner has to go back and forth between the information and the image to determine the different areas of the United States. This can cause a split in the learner's attention and prevent him or her from experiencing a deep level of understanding. This information could be much more effective if the designer applied the spatial contiguity principle. As you can see here, it is very easy for the learner to identify the regions and in turn the corresponding area of the United States. This is just one example of how you can simplify the learning experience for the learner by making the words and corresponding images closer to each other. The temporal contiguity principle is another way discussed in the handbook to reduce extraneous cognitive load. This principle says that people learn better when the corresponding narration and animation are presented simultaneously rather than successively. In other words, the words are spoken at the same time they are illustrated in the animation. As you may have already noticed in this slide, that is not what has happened, and might have even found yourself being a little bit thrown off by the animation. Or perhaps you're still wondering what information is going to be presented on the slide. Let's go ahead and take a look at a better example of this principle to really highlight how much better it can be. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick lesson and that you now have a better understanding of the following: the signaling principle, the spatial contiguity principle, and the temporal contiguity principle. As you can see, by presenting the information on screen at the same time I am saying it, it makes it a lot easier for you to follow along. So I hope this will change the way you think about some of your upcoming lessons, and you will try out these 3 easy principles to make your lessons that much more effective. If you would like to learn some more information, check out the Cambridge Handbook of Multimedia Learning. Make sure you get the 2nd edition. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon and enjoy the rest of your day.